I think one of the most valuable conversations I ever had, and with people who came to visit us, is with Apple. And Apple really taught me about sustainability. I think that in our conversations, I've learned about how they make simple introductions to the product stream, and then they deepen your personal experience. And in order for you to become, an you know, Apple user, identify with Apple, you have people who have stickers on their car that promote their product. And so how does a computer company, computer company actually do that? And so it's very unique, and I wanted to study that. And you see all the data that comes with that, we'll talk about is that, you know, I mean, people who once are in the Apple product stream, don't leave necessarily. And so that's what we wanted. We wanted to be, have something that people weren't bouncing around, changing their mind and so forth. They became committed to the process. And so we looked at Apple as how do they do it? And they're really successful. And so we simply asked. And what we found is that when they introduce a product, they introduce it in the simplest ways. And what they do is they gradually raise the water level, to deepen someone's experience, and then they're fully submerged in their product and process and so forth. So when we started to look at it, we said, well, how does Apple introduce things? Well, oftentimes they'll introduce it through music. And what we used to have is an iPod. It's a little device that contained maybe 1,000 songs, 2,000 songs of your personal favorites, and so you're able to, for the first time, to really travel and listen to your music. Similar to other devices, but it was in a nice little shape, easy to carry, and you could carry your music around with you. The next thing is that once they kind of got you hooked on that, then they introduced what they call an iTouch, which looked like a cell phone, but it's similar to an iPad. There wasn't a calling feature to it, and so the iPad now has replaced the iTouch. And what it is simply they allow you to not only have your music, but then also have personal apps that you're able to check your investments or play games or look at a map or what have you. So there's a number of things, or do searches on it to the internet. So there's a number of things you could do with the iPad. The next thing that they did is they said, okay, well, we're going to introduce you to the iPhone, which there's billions of iPhones today that are sold around the world, and what mobile devices and so forth. So you have, not only do you have your music, but you have your apps, and now you have your personal contacts. You can email people, you can text people, and so now you're more integrated personally into their system. And then the next thing that they introduce you to is the MacBook Pro, which is a laptop, and now you're starting to create content. So not only do you have your music and your apps and your contacts, but now you're creating content. Where you're sitting down for hours and hours and you're creating content, and then you have your iMac, which is a desktop version of Apple's desktop, which is probably the most expensive on the market, but because you're integrated. All your work is integrated into their product stream, and you've been slowly raising the water line. You're fully submerged, so you're willing now to even invest heavily into it. And so not only is it a great product, as we know, but it also it's connected, it's personal, and then you become an Apple enthusiast, someone who is supporting and the process. So how does that relate to the flipped classroom? Well, what we did is we took Apple's onboarding sustainability, process, and it plugged it into the flipped classroom. And so we introduced 80/20 as a concept. It gets you started within the flipped classroom. And then if sometimes people want to adopt videos because it's appropriate for them. So we introduce other people's videos. We say use other people's videos. Why create the videos yourself? But then, we also found that not only do you have a collection of resources of other people's videos on YouTube and Vimeo and so forth, we also found that it was beneficial to do your own videos. So what we do is we introduce a simple concept, called screen capture, which, certain softwares like Screencastify, Snagit, Jing is another one that, very simple tools that, now are readily available on the internet compared to 2010, and also downloads you can have. You just have to pick the tool that makes sense for you, but screen capture in a simple way. And then the more advanced softwares like Camtasia and so forth, where it allows you to edit and things like that, are a little more advanced. So you talk about the content producing, right? So you go from integrating the Flipped Classroom and learning the mechanics to, the next level, like an iPad level, would be using other people's videos. And then suddenly we get you into the creation, like an iPhone, where you have, you're starting to create the content. And then we get you into heavy content, which is like an iMac or a MacBook Pro, where you're creating content at a very high level from a design standpoint. And so we took that structure of the Flipped Classroom and said, hey, maybe you want to, like a MacBook Pro level would be creating, editing your videos, right? And creating a YouTube channel. And then the next thing, you may take those videos and then you may what's called an iMac level, where you actually integrate it into a learning management system, right? Or you even have students who are creating videos with you, so you're deepening their experience, but also deepening yours. And once you do all that work, once you do that, all that personal investment, then, we find that people don't go back. And, there's stories of people who have, just are outright committed to the Flipped Classroom, from year after year after year. And that's when I transitioned from being principal to CEO, teachers were still involved with it. And it told me we did it right. That we did the right things. We understood why we did it, and we modeled it after the best companies out there.